Okay, so this is the first of 3 parts for our Talking Mock videos. This first section refers to Section A of the Core Technical Principles part of the exam. In this section, you have to answer 10 multiple choice questions. There's only one correct answer. So I'm going to talk you through how I would actually attack this exam paper. So question 1 says, which of the following sources of energy is a fossil fuel? So the following, so in other words, you have to choose one of these. It's pretty obvious. So let's now go through each one and choose which one we reckon it is. So fossil refers to obviously dead matter, which has turned into some other type of substance from organic material. So organic material is any living tissue or plant which has died and obviously then turned into a fossil. So wind can't be it because we're talking about atmospheric gases moving around at speed. So it's not wind, which can be used to power wind turbines. Solar, so solar, if you see the word solar, that refers to the sun. So obviously that would be used to power solar panels and used to heat water at high temperatures to create energy, electricity as well, which is possible to drive turbines. And then we'll go to biomass. So biomass, bio referring to biology, referring to organic material, mass, so that is the total weight of the organic material. So biomass refers to the use of organic material. So that could be in the form of human food waste or animal waste or dead animal parts and so on, being turned into a fuel which can then be burned in a furnace to produce electricity. So we know it can't be biomass. So the only answer is coal, which is obviously made from dead plants and animals over millions of years ago, which forms underneath the earth under great pressure and heat to create a fossil fuel. Okay, so fossil fuels are things like coal and gas and also crude oil. So the answer is coal in this particular situation. Okay, so now let's go to question 2. So question 2 refers to systems. So a system or electronic system will, or any type of system will have an input, a process, and an output. The inputs are components which feed into the system and start the system off. The process, which is usually in the middle, would be where the brain or the computer does its work, or where the system has decisions taken for it or by itself. And then the output would be the outcome. So for example, the road system would be cars traveling on the road, traffic lights would be the controllers, and the outputs would be cars moving from A to B. Okay, but in this case, we could talk about electronic systems. So let's look at computer. So computer has an input, a process, and an output. Computer inputs could be keyboards, scanners. It could also be microphones, like the one I'm using to do my recording right now. Okay, the process would be the actual computer itself and the software that's processing and crunching all doing all the calculations to create the output, and the output could be in a form of actually sound, or it could be visual in terms of a monitor. It could be in the form of a machine that 3D prints things out. So 3D printer will be an output. A laser cutter will be an output. A laser printer will be an output. Images on a monitor would be an output. So we know then it can't be just referring to an output device or an input device. Okay, and non-programmable components are components which make up a system but don't need to be given commands. So if we then look at all these, we know input devices are things like keyboards, they don't need to be programmed. Non-programmable components, any other parts which do not need to be programmed. Output devices, speakers, printers, lights, okay, flashing lights and so on. So it can't be that. So obviously it must be a programmable component is the answer. So we click on that. So then we go to the next question. Okay, so this refers to different types of materials. So a composite material is a material made up of more than one type of component. Okay, so here we'll start with D. So I know that PET is a type of thermoplastic which can be heated and reshaped and heats and reshaped again, so it's not that. And thermoplastics that we know are made from originate from crude oil and made from fractional distillation and cracking. LCDs refers to an electronic display or liquid crystal display. This one is high impact polystyrene, so it's not polystyrene. So A sounds about right, which is carbon reinforced polymer. So carbon reinforced polymer. Polymer refers to a type of plastic, so they can add carbon to it to make it stronger, because we know carbon is quite strong. So that's the composite material we're talking about, because it's made up of two parts, carbon and a polymer, which is a thermoplastic or thermoset. Okay, so let's click on this. So that's the correct answer. Okay, so you will actually need to know your abbreviations and acronyms for different types of materials as well. Okay, so question 4. Which of the following is a social movement designed to help producers in developing countries achieve better prices for their products? So in a cooperative, let's look at A. So cooperatives are companies where the workers actually own parts of the company, and they work together to produce a good or service. Or for example, farming is a very common example of a cooperative. So you find, for example, cooperatives exist in Israel called kibbutz, which are agricultural cooperatives. Crowdfunding refers to companies or individuals or startup companies trying to gather together or trying to fund their endeavors or enterprise or innovations using the public, the general public, individuals who will give them money in return for either to be able to buy the product at a cheaper price, or be able to have be able to gain money back when the product is sold at a profit. And so crowdfunding refers to the use of the internet to gather funds together for a startup, rather than going to traditional places such as venture capitalists or banks. Fair trading refers to producers in third world countries being able to get a fair price for their goods and services. So that seems more than likely to be the answer. So we'll click that, but then we'll still go through virtual marketing. So virtual marketing, you're all used to virtual marketing. So if you've gone on Facebook and seen an advert, or you've gone to Google, use Google websites, or and you've done a search and you've seen adverts, that is virtual marketing. So where companies advertise on the internet, okay, their goods and wares, and adverts pop up. So for example, Instagram, if you use Instagram, you see lots of adverts there where people running like commercial endeavors or enterprises, and you may see an account which is selling a particular goods or service. Okay, so let's move now to the next one. Now, so it says a finite resource will. So we know finite, the word finite means that it won't last long. Infinite is the opposite, will last forever. Okay, so D, never runs out, which probably refers to infinite, can't be the right answer. Never costs more, so that will be value or economical, so I wouldn't think it's finite. Let's go for this one. Eventually runs out. That sounds about right, so this is it. And always costs more will probably refer to something like something being very expensive. Okay. Next question. Question 6. Which of the following is a natural fiber? Okay, so let's start from here. From answer D. So polyester is a type of thermoplastic, okay, which can be made woven into fabric from thread made from polyester. Polyamide as well is a type of thermoplastic, and that is also known as nylon, and that can be used to make all manner of things, from plastic toys to tights to clothing as well. Elastane is basically an elastomer thermoplastic, which contains elastic components which are stretchy. So let's go to cotton. Well, cotton is comes from a plant. It's naturally grown in hot climates. So which of the following is a natural fiber? It's more than likely to be cotton. Click on that. Move along. Okay, so what is a reciprocating motion? So this refers to the different types of motion. So let's go through each one of these. So it says motion that goes in a circle is known as rotary. Motion that goes back and forth is known as a reciprocating motion. Motion that goes in a straight line is known as linear motion. Motion that swings from side to side is known as an oscillating motion. So we will choose B, which is back and forth, reciprocation. Okay, so let's move now to question. Let's do that properly. Let's move to question 8. Okay, so question 8. Okay, which of the following is a ferrous metal? So, okay, let's start with what ferrous means. So ferrous, ferrite, ferrous, if you see ferrous, that refers to iron, which has a chemical symbol Fe on the periodic table. We know that aluminium in its own right is classified as a metal, and it can be found on the periodic table. We also know that copper is also a metal in its own right, can be found on the periodic table, and neither contain iron. We know that tin is also a chemical component that can be found on the periodic table and has its own symbol, and that is also a metal. So low carbon steel, well, steel normally contains iron, so low carbon, that means it contains carbon as well. So this must be some type of alloy of iron, and it also contains manganese. So if it's a steel, if you see the word steel, and you see if they ask you such a question about metals, then you know steel is an alloy of iron. It contains carbon and manganese, and so it's more than likely to be C is the right answer because it contains iron. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Which of the following is a production method where materials are only ordered when they are needed? Right, so computer-aided manufacturing, that refers to the making of products using computers to help. So that could be a laser cutter, it could be a robot arm controlled by computers to make, I don't know, chairs or car body parts. It could also be a 3D printer to make products. Okay, it could even be a 3D printer which prints houses. Okay, so design for maintenance is designing products that can be maintained at low cost and to reduce pollution and to reduce waste. Okay, just in time refers to a process where manufacturers order parts and tools just in time as their inventory. And inventory refers to orders brought in. So let's say a car manufacturer is making cars, it wouldn't hold lots of the car parts in stock. There would be a computer system which controls the ordering of these car parts, and they will come just in time for the product, for the car to be manufactured, to be assembled and manufactured. And lean manufacturing refers to creating efficiency through using the minimum amount of resources, whether it's materials or machinery or energy, without losing productivity. So productivity refers to how many units can be made, for example, in an hour, okay, in a day, and so on. So it's not referring to lean manufacturing. So it must be just in time. So just in time refers to order materials just in time for them to be used to make a product. Okay, let's now go to question 10. So what are hardwoods sourced from? Okay, so there are two types of woods or timber. There is hard woods and soft woods. We know that hardwoods are come from trees known as deciduous trees, and these are slow growing trees which generally lose their leaves certain times of the year, and their grains, because of the slow growth, they have very dense material inside them, or dense wood. Whereas coniferous trees are softwoods and they grow very, very fast. So pine trees and fir trees and all those types of trees, and they produce conical leaves. These types of trees are softwoods. So we then know that the answer is B. But let's talk about this. So iron ore, that an ore is the source where you find a particular metal. So iron ore um, uh, is the rock that contains iron. There are other types of ores as well, like bauxite and malachite as well, and they contain other types of metals as well that can be mined from the earth. Recycled sawdust just refers to the fine dust that you see when we work in the workshop, for example, to produce our products or to make things out of pine. That sawdust then can be recycled and used for other things. So the answer is definitely not D.